Assalamu alaikum. How are you today? I hope you're doing fine. This video looks a lot different from the others because I'm sitting here in darkness in front of my laptop, so the little bit of light that you see and the reflection on my spectacles is from the screen of my laptop. Here in South Africa, we have this thing called blackouts, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, which is so typical of African countries where there isn't electricity the whole day. And we used to having electricity the whole day. But since the ANC took over, we now have what they euphemistically call load shedding, but it's a blackout. There's no electricity. And the reason for it is only one cause, that is corruption, from the top right down to the bottom. The power utility here in South Africa called Eskom, they're not doing maintenance work. It's starting to look as if they haven't done maintenance work since the ANC took over. And that is almost 30 years ago. 28, going on for 29 years to be exact. And it's becoming apparent that no maintenance work has been done for a very long time because the power stations that generate electricity are all falling into disrepair. And so they are falling off the grid one at a time. A recent article said that there are now 11 power stations offline because of faulty equipment. Now, money is being stolen from Eskom at the top. So, tenders that is allocated for maintenance work or repairs or upgrades, the money gets allocated to people who win the tender to do the job, but nothing gets done, but the money gets taken. That's corruption. On the bottom side, the people supplying the coal-fired power stations, for example, with coal, they figure out all kinds of shenanigans like replacing the coal with cheaper versions of coal, or they just drive the coal across the border in truckloads. And they line up and stand and wait to cross the border, and obviously they go and sell the coal somewhere else. Stolen coal. Sometimes they invoice Eskom twice for the same truckload of coal. And when they replace the coal with cheaper coal, they end up damaging the furnaces at the coal-fired power station. And then there's no maintenance getting done. The furnace gets damaged, it blows a big hole in one of the pipes or somewhere. They've shown us pictures of it. The report is that is not Eskom. And then the power station goes offline and it just stays offline because there's no money to repair it. The repair work was supposed to have been done years back. And so that's it. One less. I saw a news article not too long ago which said that 11 power stations are offline and in for repairs. And whether they come back online after getting repaired is another story. You never hear about a power station going online. There are two brand new power stations that went offline. Brand new. So, in other words, the building of the power stations were done using inferior material, shoddy workmanship, and the like. So, the so called brand new power station was never really intended to work. And after a couple of years, it just went offline because of a need for repairs. And there's no money to repair it because the money's gone. If any repair budget was created. That's the situation that we have here with this ANC government. When Nelson Mandela, as the leader of the ANC, took over, he was an educated man, and succeeding him very shortly after, he wasn't president for very long, was Thabo Mbeki, another educated man. But just to show you the nature of the South African majority, succeeding him was Jacob Zuma. And if you know South Africa's history and what happened when Zuma took over, he made this institution of corruption, if I can call it that. He made it widespread throughout South Africa and from the top right down to municipalities. In fact, it has even been a number of cases of corruption in private institutions. And, obviously, if some clerk working somewhere with salaries thinks that she can steal small amounts on a monthly basis because the prevailing atmosphere is as if everyone is stealing and everyone is getting away with it. We hear about things happening every single day, and yet you never hear about cases or people being taken to court or such like. So, people in the private sector, they think that they can do the same thing. And there are many cases where they've tried. So, how many cases aren't there where people are getting away with something like that? But besides that, these blackouts, can you imagine what it's doing to the South African economy? I mean, small businesses were already affected with 2 years of COVID. A number of them closed down because they had to close down. Now, with these blackouts, they can't do business. They have to close down because there's no electricity. So even more of them are closing down. The bigger corporations, they can still afford to buy huge generators, and so they can still carry on with their businesses. But the small business, which it's okay, small business is not the backbone of the South African economy, but it is a huge part of it. In South Africa, we have big business that forms the backbone of the economy. And it's a different, a wide range of different big businesses, with the mines up in Johannesburg, and then insurance and petrol and banking and so on. But a number of businesses are small businesses, the little shops and the home industries and so on. And so this creates employment in the different towns. But this blackouts, it's causing them to close down. And people are losing their jobs. Their places of work doesn't exist anymore. And so unemployment, it's climbing at a huge rate. We're in January now, and over 900,000 matriculants wrote their exam last year, about 940,000. Now, slightly less than half of them will go to some or other tertiary institution, so they will carry on studying. But very few of the others will find work. And so most of them end up sitting at home. There are literally hundreds of thousands of school leavers that have been sitting at home 4, 5, 7, 8, 9 years, more than 10 years, sitting at home, no work. And this government says that they are not responsible for creating jobs. In fact, we all know that they're not even responsible for protecting anybody, because the police, government institution, they are not here to protect citizens. The police station around the corner, there's a police station about a minute away from here where I live. But they have a big board up saying this premises is protected by some or other security company. The police station is protected by a security company. And that's the only thing that works in South Africa. Private everything, private security, private companies. That works because it's private, it's not government. Anything that is government is not working and it's corrupt. They are corrupt. They get paid by gangsters and criminals and they are in cahoots with criminals. That is why crime is so high in South Africa. You can only imagine what is going on right now. It's 4 o'clock in the morning and it's pitch dark outside. I'm fortunate, alhamdulillah, that I live in an area that is gang free, if I can put it that way. But in other areas where it's like this, it's terrible, terrible. And it's going to get worse also. So we must make dua that things change sometime, that we have leaders which are a lot more accountable, that are not about money, that are more moral. Because we as Muslims, at the end of the day, it doesn't actually matter who is in government and who's running the country. As long as we have our freedom of religion, and we are able to do what we must do according to Islam, which the ANC affords us. They allow us to do that. They don't place any restrictions, they don't oppress us in any way. But this kind of thing, where they are not doing what they are supposed to be doing, it's oppressive in a different way. If you are lazy, you're corrupt, you don't do what you're supposed to be doing, you don't do your job, in other words, then you become a burden and you oppress people in that way. Not by direct, purposeful oppression, but another kind of oppression. And yes, we as Muslims are supposed to be supporting ourselves and doing our own thing and providing the services that we need for ourselves, which we are doing. But a lot of it depends on electricity and roads for that matter. And we're being negatively affected by this. So make your du'as and who knows? Allahu Alam. Salam alaikum.